Thursday, Eric Holder informed the governors of Colorado and Washington that the Department of Justice would allow these states to implement the regulation of legalized recreational marijuana without any particular, without giving them a hard time about it, basically. However, he did also inform them that the department reserves the right to file suit at a later point in time. And the Deputy Attorney General, James Cole, passed out a 3-page memo to the U.S. attorneys nationwide explaining that their intentions and expectations for a strong regulatory approach needed to be focused on preventing distribution to minors, revenue from going to gangs and criminal activity, the tracking of marijuana between states where it is not legal, marijuana distribution from being a cover for selling other illegal drugs such as heroin and meth and so forth. They also want to focus on preventing violence and use of firearms in the cultivation and distribution of marijuana. Of course, intoxicating driving. They want to prevent growing on public land and, quote, this got me a little bit, environmental damage posed by marijuana production. I'm sorry, but there is no environmental damage or danger.
Along with us. Environmental damage. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There are no environmental dangers posed by marijuana production. So I don't know where they got that. That seemed to be something they pulled out of their ass. And they also want to focus on marijuana possession or focus on preventing marijuana possession or marijuana use on federal property. So, you know, they're saying, you know, basically go ahead, but go on with caution, and we'll be keeping an eye on you, basically. You know, keep yourselves in line. And they also said that they'll probably be playing pretty hardball with anything that toes the line of something that they deem to be inappropriate, such as advertisements for marijuana that have cartoons could be construed as marketing to children. But even President Barack Obama has said earlier in his term that insofar as states that are legalizing marijuana, there are, quote, bigger fish to fry, and that he would not make a priority out of going after marijuana users. But the thing is, he specifically said marijuana users, not marijuana growers and distributors.
I'm kind of mixed on this one. First, you know, okay, it's good news. It's some small reform. It's a step in the right direction. All right, I love that. That's great. My problem is that I'm thinking that we're going to continue going on with the Obama model of pass something very, very small reform, and then tout it as historic reform. Look at what I've done for you. Look at what I've done for you, marijuana users. I have decided not to go after you where it is legal. Okay, we're going to allow you to follow your own state law. We're still banning it federally, but we're not going to come after you, growers, or I'm sorry, you individual users anymore. Right. I don't know if anybody feels the same way.
Like overall, I think it's a good thing. I mean, it respects 10th Amendment principles. The states of Colorado and Washington have made their own decision, and the federal government says that they're going to stay out of it, minus 18 billion excuses that can make them change their mind at a later date, but they say for now that they're going to stay out of it. So I think that's a good thing. I mean, the reality is that in Colorado, marijuana is more popular than Obama. Like, in the last election, it won by a larger majority than him. So I think reality is going to set in that you can't really that it's not gonna be a good look if they're like going after these states more than they already are.
I agree, absolutely. Brian, do you think this is a step in the right direction?
Well, it's definitely progressivism. There's no question about that. I think it's good that they've said this. They've done the proper legalese thing that they should be doing, and they've covered their ass all the way around so that we can come back if we want to later on. One thing I'd mentioned, and this is the one thing that gets me, and I mean, I don't live there under this, but it's interesting because I see a fear of not a fear of it, but the slippery slope. argument here coming to be, where they have in essence said that, yeah, we're going to respect your state rights federally, but we're not changing our law, but we're not going to encroach on yours. And what happens when other states start deciding they want to do different things? And it's like, well, we want you to recognize our state for this law and get your federal hands off my whatever, you know. And that's the only thing I find very interesting here. What are the lawyers? What are all the congressional or congressional lawyers going to do with this sort of thing if something like that starts happening? So I think it's a move in the right direction. I think it's great. I'm glad they've come out and said it. It may get other states moving forward, and it's definitely progressivism. I'm just interested to see what comes of this.
Now you kind of make a good point with the slippery slope, but I disagree with that. And it's because I don't see this as the federal government saying that, okay, states, you can do whatever you want. No, this is the federal government choosing to say, you know what, it's taking too much time, it's taking too much effort, it's taking too much federal money doing these raids in a place where, like what Sean said, pot is more popular than the president. Pot has won by a larger margin than the president. I think they're finally starting to begin to see the futility of the drug war, of continuing the drug war in these states that have decided to make it legal.
Right. I think that they're realizing. I think they're realizing that they're finally losing the battle against this war on pot, and that they're going to have to eventually give it in. And I think they're probably making the first steps towards that. At the same time, Jeff, I think you made a good point earlier when you said basically that I think they're trying to use small steps in order to make excuses to not make bigger steps later. And I would proceed with caution in that regard, and you know, people need to keep fighting and not become complacent or rest on their laurels and think that, oh, well, you know, we won a battle, you know, now let's sit down and rest, because, you know, there's still a lot of progress to be made, and this is a small step, but it's not a big step.
And, you know, and I see a lot of people that are actually continuing the fight, and I think there are a lot of people like me who feel that, okay, this is a small step, but we need to continue to move forward. We're not going to accept this very small step. Yes, it's a good gesture by the administration, but now let's go forward. And I've made the prediction, within the next 10 years, we're going to see legalization across, or at least decriminalization, across most of the states. And you're only going to have some of those very regressive states, such as like the South, like Louisiana, Mississippi, you know, still continue to be the holdouts for being against, you know, medicinal marijuana and decriminalizing marijuana.
And the thing is, eventually, and the thing is that it's going to be like a domino effect. I'm seeing it happen already, because eventually they're not going to be able to hide the fact that legalization of recreational use, not medicinal use, is excellent for the economy, and the benefits. They're not going to be able to deny the benefits. The crime rates will not go up, so they're not going to be living out the horror stories that everyone's been propagandizing, you know, for years and years and years. So I think at some point it's going to be, I mean, it's kind of on a similar path to gay marriage at this point, where it's becoming more and more obvious to the youth of this country that it's something that needs to happen.